Hello, I hope this finds everyone well this week. So we're going to cover groups some more, group influence on individuals, but also group interaction with one another. So it's going to be fast-paced and furious, and I'll try to make this to the point and quick. So let's go ahead and go get started. So a group is two or more people who regularly interact and influence one another. So that's one thing. No person is an island. We all influence one another. So think about the next term, social facilitation, as the strengthening of dominant responses in the presence of others. In other words, bike riders can move faster in a pack. Think about drafting, and auto racing. But this also can be indicative of like political philosophies, positions. If you get in a group of folks and all start going in one direction, things tend to snowball and get bigger. So let's think about that a little bit. So we'll come back to that in just a moment. I have this next slide has to do with crowding. So this is on page 269 of your text. Alpha is, I say this facetiously and kind of just tongue in cheek, because Alpha in Northwest Oklahoma in general, we're all kind of spread out and we tend to have a lot of space. However, if you live in a city or even in a very small like apartment complex or a small house even, then there's heightened arousal. I mean, people's tensions tend to get stressed out and increased. So one of the ways that you can counteract that is let everybody have their own private space. So just keep an eye on that and read through the text because they'll do a better job of explaining it than I just did. So also think about the concept regarding social loafing. So look on pages 271 to 272. And just think about that in context of like a tug of war. If you're having a tug of war with one other person, uh, based upon research, you tend to have a lot more effort if it's just you involved than it is having a lot of other people help you out. So as uh, as group effort increases, you have increasing numbers, then individual effort tends to decrease a little bit, at least towards that common cause. And I threw in a slide about welfare. So there's this big talk about in certain political circles that people are on welfare. Well, actually, in Oklahoma, that's a real misnomer. People on welfare number about 8,000. So if you look at a population of about 4 million, that comes to about 0.02%, and it's not even close to 1% of the. It's so far, it's almost unimaginable how small a percentage that is, because literally there. And I used to administrate drug tests to people or drug screenings of people who applied for cash benefits. So there really aren't cash benefits through welfare. There's about 8,000 people, and Oklahoma, we receive a federal grant. We actually use about 10%, actually less than 10%, on actually cash benefits to people. So one of the reason I administered those drug screenings because we've also passed a law that says you won't administer of those 8,000 people, none of them that are using drugs can get the money. So I think it's important for us to know that, and I gave a chart there. It used to be much higher. It used to be about 36,000, 37,000. That's really non-existent now. There were Medicaid or excuse me welfare reforms in the middle 90s, and those continue to have an impact today. So let's move on a little bit. One of the things that's important to note about the group effect is the individuation. So, things that we might not do, if the spotlight was on us, we tend to do in groups. So, I've got a picture of a concert up there, some people, wearing masks, got a picture of some folks looting, covering their face up. So if we're, in a group, we don't tend to we don't tend to act the same way as we would if we were just individuals by ourselves. So pay attention to that. Anyway, there's some interesting research on that page 277 and 278. This is perhaps the most important concept that we're going to talk about. I think you could argue that this is the most important concept, at least for our point in time in history. So I'm going to stop this recording right now, and I'm going to make a separate recording just talking about this particular topic.